Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm really happy to have you here today. It's great to learn English together in ways that are fun, natural, and easy. We're all on this journey, learning and growing step by step. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. Making mistakes is part of learning. Just show up, enjoy the process, and keep practicing. Today, we have a really interesting story to help us learn English in a fun way. It's a little bit funny, a little bit, oh dear, and it teaches us something valuable. The story is called Café, Stranger Was My Boss. Have you ever said something a little bit silly to someone you don't know? Maybe something you shouldn't have? It happens to all of us. Now, imagine saying something not so nice to a stranger and then finding out that this stranger is going to be your new boss. Oh no, that would be a bit, right? Today, we're going to tell you Maya's story. It's a real and funny story and a little bit embarrassing. That's when you feel silly about something you did. This video will help you practice your English listening and speaking with Maya's story. It's easy to follow, so don't worry if your English isn't perfect. We'll use a special speaking practice called shadowing. You listen to English, stop, and then try to say exactly what you heard, copying the voice and feelings. Shadowing helps you speak more naturally, sound more like a native speaker, and understand faster. It's a great way to improve your English speaking. So, what did Maya say to the stranger in the cafe? How surprised was she to see him again? And what important lesson did she learn? Let's find out together. Watch the story now. It was Monday morning, and for most people, that meant the start of a new week. But for Maya, this Monday was different. Today was her job interview. Not just any job interview. This was for a position she really wanted. She had spent weeks preparing her resume, writing cover letters, and researching the company. Now, the day was finally here. But instead of feeling excited and ready, Maya felt a big knot in her stomach. A wave of worry washed over her as she looked at her clothes. What should I wear? Does this look professional enough? What if they don't like my style? Little doubts started to pop into her head one after another. She walked over to the mirror and looked at herself. Usually she felt pretty good, but today was different. She didn't feel like the confident, capable person she knew she could be. Am I good enough for this job? She thought. There are probably so many other people who are much better than me. These thoughts made her shoulders slump a little. Time was ticking by quickly. Her interview was in just a couple of hours, and she still felt so unprepared. She had practiced her answers to common interview questions, but now all the words seemed to have disappeared from her brain. What if they ask me something I don't know? She worried. What if I say something stupid? Maya knew she needed to calm down. Her heart was beating fast, and her palms were a little sweaty. She tried to take a few deep breaths, like she had read in an article about interview stress. "Okay, Maya," she told herself quietly. "Just breathe. You've got this. You are smart, and you have the skills they're looking for." But even as she said these words, a little voice inside her still felt unsure. The feeling of not being ready was still there, hanging over her like a cloud. She wished she could just fast forward to after the interview and know if she got the job or not. The waiting and the uncertainty were the hardest parts. Maya felt like she needed a moment to gather herself before facing the interview. Her nerves were on edge, and she thought a quick stop at her favorite coffee shop might help. The smell of coffee always had a calming effect on her. She hoped a little caffeine boost would also give her the energy she needed to feel more prepared. She walked into the cozy cafe, the warm atmosphere, and the gentle chatter of people providing a small sense of comfort. Maya got in the short line, waiting patiently for her turn to order. While she was standing there, she noticed a friendly-looking man next to her. He had a kind smile, and there was something approachable about him. As they waited, the man made a casual comment about the busy morning. Maya, feeling a desperate need to voice her anxieties, found herself replying more openly than she usually would to a stranger. "Tell me about it," she sighed. "I have a job interview today, and I'm so stressed out. I feel like my whole future depends on the next hour." The stranger nodded understandingly. "Oh, a job interview? That can be tough. What kind of job is it for?" Maya took a breath and started to explain. "It's for a marketing position at this company called Innovate Solutions. It sounds great on paper, you know. Interesting work, good benefits, but honestly," she leaned in a little as if sharing a secret, "their hiring process seems a bit disorganized." The stranger raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement in his eyes. "Oh, really? What makes you say that?" Maya, now feeling a bit more comfortable talking to this seemingly sympathetic ear, didn't hold back. "Well, their emails were so confusing. I got 3 different messages about the interview time, and none of them matched. And the job description, it was so vague. Honestly," she chuckled slightly, "I even thought the person who wrote it might not be very competent." She shook her head. "You'd think a company like that would have a more professional approach to hiring." The stranger listened attentively, a small smile playing on his lips. He didn't interrupt, just let her vent her frustrations. Maya continued, talking about her worries about the interview itself. "I've prepared so much, but what if I freeze up? What if I can't answer their questions properly? And honestly," she added, lowering her voice a bit, "if the people running the hiring are that chaotic, I wonder what it's actually like to work there." She finally got to the counter and ordered her latte. As she waited for it, she realized she had been talking for quite a while to this stranger. He had been a good listener, and it had actually helped her feel a little bit calmer. When her coffee was ready, she turned back to him. "Well," she said with a small smile, "thanks for listening to my pre-interview meltdown. I hope your morning is going better than mine started." The stranger chuckled softly. "It's been interesting. Good luck with your interview, Maya." "Thanks," she replied, a little surprised that he knew her name. She must have mentioned it when talking about the interview. She took her coffee and headed towards the door, feeling slightly better but still a little anxious about the big meeting ahead. She had no idea that her candid conversation with the kind stranger in the cafe would have a much bigger impact on her day than she could ever imagine. With her coffee, Maya went to the Innovate Solutions building. It looked big and modern. She took a deep breath before going inside, trying to look confident even though she felt nervous. She told her name at the front desk, and they showed her to a waiting room. It was a clean and quiet room. Maya sat down and looked at her notes one last time, trying to remember everything. After a few minutes, a nice lady called her name. "Maya, Mr. Thompson is ready for you now." Maya stood up, her heart beating a little faster. She followed the lady to a closed door. The lady smiled and opened the door. "Miss Lee, please come in," a voice said. Maya walked into the room and tried to smile. There was a big desk between her and the person interviewing her. And then she was very surprised. Sitting behind the desk was the man from the coffee shop. The friendly man who listened to her talk about her worries. The man she said not so nice things about the company to, was now looking right at her. Maya's mind went blank. She remembered everything she said in the cafe, the confusing emails, the unclear job description, and what she thought about the person who wrote them. All of it came back to her. Her face felt hot with embarrassment. The man, Mr. Thompson, smiled kindly. "Please sit down, Miss Lee. It's good to see you again." Maya could only nod. She felt like she wanted to disappear. The confidence she tried to have was gone. She just felt very surprised and embarrassed. She sat down awkwardly and looked at Mr. Thompson. The friendly way he was in the cafe was now more professional, but he still seemed a little familiar. Maya realized this wasn't just a stranger. This was someone important at the company, probably the boss, her interviewer. The room was quiet and uncomfortable. Maya's face felt like it was burning. She tried to think of something to say, but her mind was empty. She was completely shocked. This was not how she thought her interview would start. The friendly talk in the cafe now felt like a big mistake. She hoped that maybe, even though she was honest, or maybe too honest, she still had a chance at this job. Even though Maya was super embarrassed, Mr. Thompson was very professional and calm. He didn't talk much about what happened at the coffee shop. Instead, he smiled gently and continued the interview like normal. He asked about her work experience, what she was good at, and if she understood the job. Maya, still a little nervous, tried her best to answer carefully and professionally, focusing on what she could do instead of the awkward start. Surprisingly, Mr. Thompson wasn't angry or judging her. He listened carefully to her answers, nodding sometimes and asking more questions that showed he was really interested. Even though it was still a formal interview, he made it feel surprisingly relaxed after what happened. Then, something really surprising happened. Near the end of the interview, Mr. Thompson leaned back in his chair and said in a calm and honest voice, "Miss Lee, I have to say, I liked your honesty earlier today at the coffee shop." Maya's heart beat faster. She thought he was going to tell her off for what she said, but that's not what happened. Mr. Thompson continued, "It takes courage to say what you think, even to someone you don't know. Maybe the coffee shop wasn't the best place, but your directness about what you saw, it was actually good to hear. It made me think about things, and honestly, some of the things you pointed out are things we are trying to make better." Maya was really surprised. She thought he would be mad, maybe even not give her the job, but instead he liked that she was honest. Mr. Thompson smiled a little. "Of course, at work, it's important to be careful with your words. But you being willing to say what you thought, even when you didn't know who I was, shows something about you. And also, you have really good skills and experience." The rest of the interview went well. Maya felt relieved and had a new respect for Mr. Thompson. She answered his questions with more confidence. By the end of the interview, the awkward start was mostly forgotten, and there was a feeling of unexpected understanding. As Maya left the office, she kept thinking about what happened. She went from feeling very embarrassed to feeling maybe she had a chance. More importantly, she learned something important. Words are powerful, and you never know who is listening. What seemed like a small, casual talk became a big moment. She realized she needed to be careful about what she said, even when just talking normally, and that sometimes being honest, even when it's embarrassing, can lead to surprising good things. Lesson for the Maya's story. So, what can we learn from Maya's story? There are some really important things to think about. First, remember that words have power. What you say, even if it seems like a small thing at the time, can have big consequences later on. Maya's casual comments in the coffee shop almost cost her a job opportunity. It shows us that we should be careful with what we say, even when we don't think it matters. It's always a good idea to be kind with your words. Think before you speak. It's better to speak smart and think first before you share your opinions, especially with people you don't know. You never know who they might be, or how your words might affect them or your future. Also, don't underestimate who's listening. In Maya's case, The friendly stranger was actually her future boss. You never know who you might be talking to, so it's wise to be mindful of what you say in public or even in seemingly private conversations. But there's also a really encouraging message in Maya's experience. Sometimes those moments when you feel really embarrassed, they can actually become your best lesson. Maya's uh-oh moment in the cafe taught her a valuable lesson about the power of her words and the importance of being careful. And finally, Maya's honesty, even though it was a bit blunt, combined with her humility when she realized her mistake, actually showed strength. Honesty plus humility equals unexpected strength. Being truthful and admitting when you might have been wrong can sometimes lead to surprising and positive outcomes. So, Maya's story reminds us to choose our words wisely, be kind, think before we speak, and remember that you never know who might be listening. And even when we make mistakes and feel embarrassed, there's always a chance to learn something important and maybe even turn that moment into a strength. Simple English phrases from Maya's story. Now, let's look at some simple and helpful English phrases from Maya's story. These are things you can say in your own English talks every day. I'm so stressed out. We use so to make the feeling stronger. Say it with me. I'm so happy. I'm so tired. What makes you say that? This is a friendly way to ask for more information or the reason behind someone's statement. Say it with me. What makes you think that? What makes you smile? I even thought. We use even to emphasize something surprising or unexpected. Say it with me. I even ate 2 pizzas. He even knows my name. You'd think. This is used to express what seems logical or expected. Say it with me. You'd think it would be sunny today. You'd think he would call. It takes courage to. This phrase is used to say that something is difficult and requires bravery. Say it with me. It takes courage to speak in public. It takes courage to try new things. It was refreshing. Refreshing means something made you feel new energy or was pleasingly different. Say it with me. This cold drink is refreshing. Her honesty was refreshing. Let's practice saying them. Say these phrases out loud with me. I'm so hungry. What makes you so sure? She even finished all her homework. You'd think the bus would be here by now. It takes courage to say sorry. The rain after the heat was refreshing. quick review. In this story, you learned about making feelings stronger using so, asking for reasons or more information with what makes you say that, emphasizing something surprising with even, expressing expectations with you'd think, saying something requires bravery with it takes courage to, describing something pleasingly new or different with refreshing, conclusion. So, we've reached the end of our time with Maya's story. I hope you enjoyed it. Learning English through real-life stories like this is super helpful because it makes the language stick in your memory. When you see how people use English in a natural situation, it's easier to remember the words and phrases, and it helps you understand how to use them yourself. Plus, it's often more interesting than just memorizing lists. Now, it's your turn to practice. A great way to really learn this story and improve your speaking is to try telling it again in your own words. You don't need to remember every single detail. Just try to retell the main parts of what happened to Maya. This will help you practice using the new vocabulary and sentence structures we looked at. If you're feeling creative, you could even imagine a different ending for the story or think about a similar oops moment that has happened to you or someone you know. Trying to explain these situations in English is fantastic practice for your speaking and helps you become more comfortable using the language in different ways. Have you ever had a Maya moment? A time when you said something a little awkward or embarrassing to someone? Share your story in the comments below. We'd love to read about your experiences. It's a good way to connect with other learners and see that these things happen to everyone. If you found this lesson helpful and you enjoy learning English with fun, real-life stories, please give this video a like. It helps other English learners find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on our future lessons. Click the bell icon too, so you'll be notified whenever we upload a new video. Thank you so much for learning with me today. Keep practicing, keep sharing your stories, and I'll see you in the next video.